start streaming. Let's get into it. Let's go. Let's get my eyes turned on for everybody. Get my vision set. Let's make sure everything's running. Do the standard let's go. Okay, sounds like the mic's working. Let's get that moved somewhere. Let's do it. Today, day 11. Wow. Okay, sick. We are more than 1/10 of the way through. I hope. I still haven't planned how many days this is going to be. Kind of taking it one day as we go. But we're here. We're doing it. So, yeah. Let's see. Before we get started, we'll kind of go around the room and do a little bit of a recap of where we've been so far. Also, I think we can play live time today. I think we're early enough in the day where we can do this. So we started out our trip down here at Henry County Airport. Did a couple of stops around places that I know coming up through Atlanta. Hit a canyon here south of Chattanooga, Cloudland Canyon. Landed up in Nashville. From Nashville, we went up and made our way to St. Louis. St. Louis, we made our way out to Kansas City. Kansas City, we made our way up to Sioux City. Sioux City. We made our way out to, this is a big jump on this one, Mount Rushmore area. And we ended in Sturgis. After Sturgis, we made our way over through Yellowstone National Park and stopped up in Bozeman. After Bozeman, we made our way over to Pullman, Moscow, and Idaho, Washington State. There we ended up at the north side of the Olympic Island area at William R. Fairchild. Then we started breaking the law. So we are currently still haven't stopped at an international airport, I don't think. So we haven't checked in with customs. We've slept in the helicopter the entire time. Although we've changed helicopters, we never touched soil. So we jumped from there all the way up to Port Hardy. And then yesterday, we did a big jump from Port Hardy all the way up to Prince Rupert. And yesterday was also a bit of a trial run using the Airbus H225, the Super Puma, because I know once we get to tomorrow, most likely, and the resulting days after that, we may need some de-icing capabilities. So I wanted to make sure that we tested a helicopter that had de-icing. I like doing something different every day. I think it brings some variety to this and doesn't get too monotonous at that point. But with that said, it's we may be limited to one or two options with working windscreen heaters and quality de-icing functions, so we can actually survive the northern bit here. Although it is starting to get into spring, it's late April right now. I'm assuming it's still kind of cold up here. It's still showing snow on the ground. And then we may have to touch that once again once we get up into the Himalayan areas. But other than that, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But we're about 10 or 11 days in. We're doing 2 to 3 hours a night, sometimes more depending on how far the jump is. But today, we'll be doing a Prince Rupert and North run. So, buckle up, hang on. I'm not going to turn the no smoking sign on, so y'all are allowed to smoke in this flight. And we'll get into it. Today we're going to do the Bell 222 Bravo with what I believe to be a very cool and worth it livery. Another reason I did this one is because I do believe it has windshield heating, and I want to double check on that. Oh yeah. That's right, boys and girls. We're an Airwolf today. Honestly, I think like I should know better. I should have looked more at this model. They had the standard 222Bs. Let's get rid of our brackets. We had the standard 222Bs, or the 222 Bravo, 222 Bravo, but I never really looked at all of the liveries for this thing. I think the furthest I ever scrolled through was to look at like an not Air Force, but Coast Guard one, just because this is like the closest thing to a Dolphin that's in the game. But where's my money? Money? Who said anything about money? Also, welcome. But check it out, do we have Airwolf, like legitimate? I didn't know they had the full modeled Airwolf version. So, very cool. Those are just shapes and lights and stuff. The engine's kind of empty. Whatever. What's in the back seat here? Is there anything? Oh, it's still seating in the back. But yeah, we're doing Airwolf today. Mostly because I wanted another quickish thing. There was a threat yesterday. I don't remember what the threat was, but I do remember you threatening me. Was it doing the upside down flying? Was it a threat there at the end? I feel like it was at the end. I've been relatively busy today, so my mind isn't exactly where we left off. Although I'm still very, very pumped about that backwards auto rotation. It worked out way better than expected. Okay, let's see. What are we looking for? What are we looking for? We're going to look at heaters, because that's something that's going to be necessary. What's that? Do I have those switches over here? Auxiliary system, pedostatic. Okay. So what I do need to check out is we have temperature control. That button doesn't seem to work. Windshield wipers we do have. Engine anti-ice we do have. Engine 1 and Engine 2 anti-ice. Cool. As far as this, we have a vent. I don't see any heater type things, but I think windshield de-ice. So that is a thing there, which means it's probably modeled, just not the switch itself. Well, see, I am back tomorrow. So, the threat was not disobeyed. Anyways, have fun. I'll see you shortly. We're going to go through startup and get going and get our way up and back into an American soil. So, see you here in a bit. And also, anybody watching this in the future, feel free to subscribe. We got 100 more days of this, and should be fun. Well, not 100, like 90-ish days. Okay, hydration happens. Let's do it. First thing we do, we start with our battery on. We're going to get our fuel valves open as well. Hell yeah, that's where it needs to be. Didn't mess with those at the moment. The fuel pump's on. That means we can take my mouse instead of my laser pointer and hit engine 1. We'll be watching our engine speed, temperatures, everything like that for engine 1. Temperatures look good. Our, which believes NG, believes that's just considered turbine speed. So engine 1 generator, we can flick that on. Engine 2 starting. And also my parking brake is on for the starting right now, so. Engine 2 generator can now be clicked on, or alternator. Fuel primes can be turned off. Anti-collision lights. Pilot pitot heater. Co-pilot. I could do this with laser pointer, but I've already got my hand here on the oh, dang it. I forget the throttle's a big thing on this. So yeah, I have to add some throttle to this as we're doing the startup procedure, or else it won't stay. There's no idle starter position for this apparently. Okay, everything's going. One thing we're waiting right now on is rotor RPM, and we have the parking brakes on. All that's going good. My torque is now getting zeroed out. We have rotor RPM where it's supposed to be. We have wind coming from the south. I'm just going to take our parking brake off, which I have a button on my cyclic to do that. We're going to do a little wheeling taxi out. Prince Rupert traffic. This is helicopter 42069. We are here at the ramp, and we are going to be taking off facing south, but we're going to turn and depart directly to the north shortly thereafter. Prince Rupert traffic. So now that we're going, we're going to do a little cool guy thing like we did yesterday in the 225 and the Puma. We're going to start rolling forward a bit. As we're rolling forward, we're just going to slowly start increasing collective and pick up off the ground. A little bit of a headwind's helping, but not much. And we'll kind of head down here and do a sweeping turn at the end of the runway and turn around and head back up. So now that we're moving, we can put our landing gear up. It's going to beep at us while that's working. And we are getting settled in and ready for a whole ass flight today, boys. This will be our last flight in Canada, I believe the entire series. But good thing we never touched the soil. We're got 100 knots of airspeed. This thing is just a missile. And that's not just a joke because it's the Airwolf helicopter. The beeping you hear right now is the what up, what up? Airwolf coming through. Very cool. And off we go. Don't really have plans for anywhere along the way, although I assume once we get going and my moderator here, Georgia Plane Spotting, gets back in, he'll have some neat things to see or do. He's pretty good about that. If you don't follow, give him a follow. Off we go. Good bit of water, good bit of land today. Kind of a 50-50 mix. But either way, we'll just get to it. Hello, Timberwolf. Also, if you want to fly with me, I'm running live. Live time, open world server. And right now, like I said, we're Prince Rupert heading up to Juneau, and we're here every day, so you can be following along. If you see me going live, feel free to hop on yourself and play along. Although this is not multi-shot Matt. Multi-shot Matt is not the name on the game. I've got a different name here, Paseo Ranger, which is a hell of a throwback. That was a car I had in high school and a truck my friend had in high school. And we both bought the Xbox together with shared money, and we picked a shared username, and it was Paseo Ranger. Apparently nobody used that one. Go figure. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure where the U.S.-Canadian line is, but we'll be back on American soil soon enough. And I can torque this bad boy up a little bit more, because we're only doing 100 knots, and I can do that in a Robinson. We're going to take advantage of this thing being quick to try to make ourselves over the water a little bit faster here. Also, I wonder what my angle of the dangle is here. We're looking at a 3-1 heading-ish. Yeah, 3-1-ish, 3-1 adjacent. Cruising 140 knots, 80 to 90% torque. That's what we want to see. I've never paid attention, but I'm curious what the water depth is out here. Which some places it only gets down to, like, between islands of different places, you're like, oh, okay, it can't be that bad. And yeah, sometimes it only gets down to a couple hundred feet, but some of these stretches gets down to a couple of thousand feet. Like a significant bit deeper than you'd expect for these pieces of land being this close to each other. Plus, this is like a wildly tectonically active area. And, I assume this geography was not formed with roses and butterflies. I assume there is a lot of earthquaking and a lot of crust pushing and magma flowing to make this area what it is today. Now I'm trying to think, did the 222 that wasn't the Airwolf have that little bit in the front where the windshield wiper is? I don't know. It doesn't matter. This could potentially be the country border that we're crossing up here. I see that line on the Garmin. This helicopter feels pretty happy in this temperature as well. Also, I am 95% sure I turned off my fuel prime. I was curious if I could turn that on and then manipulate the EFB as it floats uselessly in the air for us, but I don't know. I don't want to risk. Don't want to risk that. That looks like a circular line that we crossed over, so that might have just been a 30-mile bit. Or an airspace marker. Either way, we'll be in U.S. shortly if we're not already. Where we belong. And where we're going to spend the next, after we leave Alaska, spend the next 70 days after that trying to get back to it. Which, like, I have a mild idea of what to expect. As far as, like, geography and stuff, like, coming up through Alaska. Because I've done some little flights here and there up there. Just as a, like a fun thing whenever I wasn't doing it for this series. So, like, I'm aware of what the Alaska area is like, but I have no idea what the Russian East Coast is like. It looks mountainous from what satellite imagery looks like, because I've done some pre-planning for airports and stuff. I've got no idea what the southern Japanese islands are like getting down to Okinawa and stuff, because I think we're going to take that chain down. So I'll have a bit of ocean flying for that, but I think it'll be worth it to hit those little islands. I've got no idea what to expect on a lot of Southeast Asia. Which, I mean, it'll probably be similar to this, but maybe slightly more jagged or slightly less jagged. Slightly more water, slightly less water. Who knows? But Eastern Russia, that's a big question mark for me. And I can only imagine what this would be like in real life. Like, you wouldn't have 2 or 3 hour flight days. You'd be doing 8 to 10 hour days. You'd be using all the sunlight possible to get as far as you can. And try to do it as an around the world in 28 days or whatever, you know. I feel like you could probably do 28 days. If you had all your paperwork in order and you could just beep, beep, boop, 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 and jump across. I feel like 28 days is doable. Especially with 2 pilots and you can, like, double team flying and put in more than 10 hour days and start early in the morning and get some night flying in and come in late at night with a little bit of night flying. I feel like it's definitely possible. Big water here. I can see the land way up ahead, but we got big water. But I bet the experience of doing this in real life would be significantly different just for I mean, getting out in all the different places. Like every day, more or less every day, you're going to be in a different country with a different culture, different food, different people, different religions, different air rules and air space, different laws. It would be a hell of a thing to do this in real life. And I know there's been a few people who've done it. I think Pilot Yellow did on YouTube. There's some people out of Australia that I think are doing it. Or I remember seeing something where they were going to be doing like a test flight, one of their pilots going from Australia to New Zealand, which I think is like a 7 or 10 hour flight or something like that with a ferry tank. So, like, there are people who do it, obviously. But it makes you wonder, like, how it would be. I mean, I can just imagine stopping somewhere in Southeast Asia and not being used to whatever the food is, or if you didn't have a water filter where you couldn't filter your own water in a lot of these places, or the people there are used to it, or they're just used to crapping their brains out. I guess that's why you drink the beer in some places, you know. The beer's filtered and processed, the water could be freaking who knows where. Going through all that and seeing all those different things and places, and I know there will be some places where you just want to get out of and some places you want to spend more time in. I feel like it goes both ways. We're gonna lower collective a little bit. We're right up there on the edge of our good speed. Although this helicopter really could go faster as far as power-wise, as far as safe use of power and the aerodynamics of the rotor system. We're right there on the edge. We are doing 150 knots. But I'm not mad at that. Not mad at all. Got a little bit of a left crab in, so we can end up, give or take, where we want to be across the water and not be triangling around too much. So we have a wind coming from that direction over there. Not bad. The longer I look at places like that, the more trees and stuff will load in. Yeah, we got plenty of time today. It's going to get more and more now to where we'll be doing live flying. And even if I get on a little bit later, it's not going to be as much of a thing. Because in the U.S., in the continental U.S. there for a bit, we were adjusting the time zone so we weren't just flying straight into the sunset every day, and I don't want to say making an unwatchable stream, but making a less watchable stream. But now as we're hitting the time zones correctly going around, we'll be flying more or less live time for the next 30 days, 30, 40 days. Then once it starts getting where we're doing too early in the morning, I don't mind taking off at night. I just don't want to end at night, you know. I don't want too much of the flights to be dark. Which, while not a bad thing, good thing to get night flight practice in. Some of these areas are going to be very rural, just like in the Midwest. There were some places where there was just nothing. And just like if it would be nighttime here in Alaska, there would be nothing except for the stars. And if there's clouds, then you are purely running IFR. Which, again, great practice, but it's not great content. And while I'm doing this for me, I know that people are going to be watching as I do it, so I want to have it at least a little bit viewable and palatable to you. So yeah, cruising 130 knots or so. Relatively low on the power, 70% torque at 130 knots. 222 Bravo Airwolf. She's scooting, boys. And like I've seen, which I'm sure everybody here has seen, at least 1 or 2 episodes of Deadliest Catch. I think got a lot more popular than what you'd expect. But I think they were doing that in a 206L for the aerial photography there. Airborne Camera on YouTube is the camera operator for that if you're interested. But he's talked about flying out to go see or film boats at different locations around. And usually they try to do it more in the bay, but sometimes they go a little bit further out to sea with them for different conditions or angles or lighting or whatever the situation is. If there's an emergency and they want to see it along with the Coast Guard doing a rescue or exercise, then they'll fly out further with them if it's viable. But like I'm sure they've mentioned on the maps or whatever there before where it's Northwestern is now 150 miles south of whoever else. Like, how big of a, I'll say, fishing grounds or fishing area are they in? And of course, like, there's only one place to get Alaskan king crab, and that's Alaska. Like, you don't get Alaskan king crab from Maine. If crabs were a big thing, I don't know, lobsters are a big thing in Maine. But this is a big expanse of water we just flew over. Obviously not the biggest. Obviously not a full ocean or the full Bering Sea. But how much food could this bay or section of the bay provide? Like, if you were to sustainably farm and harvest this area to where it was like a steady population or even like a slightly increasing population, how much could you take from here compared to the entire Bering Sea? Or if you were to do some things to this area to make it more attractive to the crabs, which I don't even know what, I assume they eat deadfall, dead fish, anything that dies in the sea, it falls to the bottom and they scavenge. I think that's how they operate. But I wonder how much this area here, whatever is within our sight here, could provide. How is it just Florida's consumption of Alaskan king crabs? Could it feed California, Florida, Texas, New York, the big ones? Could it do more than that, or is it not even all of Georgia could be fed? Also, is this deep enough, or is it too deep? Who knows? I'm not a crab expert. It's not on my resume. I've done a lot of things. Crab expert's not one of them. So I'm noticing is if I want to fly more level, it's more left pedal and right stick to keep it leveled out. And then if I want to fly kind of at our line a little bit, it's definitely more aggressive that way. And I'm watching the torque and everything that it requires to do this, because I'm working on making it as efficient as possible. Because at the end of the day, these are long flights that we're doing. They're full tank flights. So I don't know how much being extremely efficient will mess with us. Like I said, we were running 70% torque or so. Yeah, 70% torque, and we're overspeeding technically. And that might just be in the wind. I don't know if we're actually doing 150 over the ground. Let's see, I'm going to zoom out. so we're just skirting the edge of this island. Don't know how the mountains are going to play here, but I don't have synthetic vision like we did when we were going through Washington State. So if it gets something where I can't see, we will be turning around and losing altitude and then going around the island. So I can't tell if those are snow peaks that are capped off by the clouds or not. Let's see. I'm also moving my Google Maps around some, so that way I'm familiar with where we are. There is something off to the left over here. I'm going to lean over and take a bit of a look. Try to hold my stick steady. MTM. Pant. But MTM looks like the more important thing to look at there. Okay, let's see what we think. Left or right here? I said we go straight at it. That way it can... Got plenty of speed, plenty of power. This will also put us up a little bit towards the clouds. So we'll see what our ceiling looks like. Then we can make a better judgment call as to if we can keep cutting the island or if we need to do a hard right to go around. Also, I want to see if it's balled up here and I can set down. Showing 4 watching right now. What's up, guys? Big crowds today. Huge Wednesday night bangers. What do you know? Yeah, it looks like our ceiling is good enough to continue across the island. Let's see. Cool little lakes and stuff. I don't want to say this is a very incomplete island, but just with they're not glacial runoffs, the snowmelt lakes and everything that are here. I don't even know these will be spring fed. I feel like this whole island just gets covered in snow, then it melts and the water just kind of stays here for most of the summer, and then it moves back to not. Ceiling is definitely a bit lower just east of us there, though. Or just north, really. So we're heading northwest. But we'll stay up and skirt it for what we can. Victoria Island that we were on the day before yesterday seemed a bit more, I don't want to say compacted, but a bit more tight with all the trees on it. Well, not the trees, but with all the mountains. And sorry about the wibbly wobblies here, guys. I'm not exactly in a comfortable chair. I have to readjust every once in a while to stay sane. I don't know if the ceiling is dropping or I'm just crazy, but we'll see. A lot of points up here, though. A lot of different approach paths coming in. So that would make my assumption is there is an airport of something up here on the left. But I don't know what it is. Let's see, what it's telling me right now is we should be kind of going in the point of that island there. But the ceiling looks low, so we'll judge the ceiling once we get to this little break in the mountains. And we'll go from there. Because I want to get up in here and see if it looks like we can feed in there. And if it will be okay. Because if not, I'd like to stay below. And I know we can follow the water and make our way to Juneau. That's not an issue. With the water, we can get low. Let's see if they're showing anything up here. Kekichan. That's what it is. Kekichan. But we'll sit down at Kekichan. Why not? Because I believe that is officially back in America for sure, 100% guaranteed. And with that being the case, we'll make sure customs know that we didn't touch that dirty Canadian soil. We never left the tarmac. So we never left the controlled international areas. Kekichan International. This is Helicopter 42069. Call sign Fuckwagon. We are about 7 miles to your southeast, inbound for runway 2930, whatever you got. Something in that zone. You may think it's Airwolf, but we're cooler than that. So, Pog. Hell yeah. That's what I want to see. Also, we're going to be staying east of your approach. So if you have anybody faster than us, which is doubtful, you can go and let them come in. We'll just go straight to ramp. Kekichan International. Hydrography. That just sounds like the wrong way to say it. Hydrography? I feel like hydrography would be the way to say that boat. Or that type of boat. Law enforcement, so I assume there's a Coast Guard. Yeah, CG, Anthony, CG. So that's all Coast Guard stuff there. We'll sit down here at Kekichan and see what it's all about. Are there any helipads over here on the town side? Maybe. Quarry Lake. No. Yeah, we'll just come into the international here. Down the collective, back on the cyclic, slowing our airspeed way down. Everybody in the town is waving. Make sure to wave back, guys. Don't be rude. 3 in the green. That's what I want to see. I don't know where your little fuel thing is, so we'll just have a truck come out to us. I don't believe we need fuel, but we're going to top off anyways because we are in the Alaskan wilderness, and I have no idea what sort of IMC condition dodging that we're going to have to do today. So parking brake is off. So we are at a stop there. Going to click my fuel button a few times. So we're topped off. Kekachan? Kekatan? I have no idea what this place is called. Is Keka something? Kekachan? Yeah, we kind of, that's it. Kekachan International, letting customs take a look at us. Put a little bit more fuel in our tanks. We did look a little bit IMC conditions there, so I feel like we may follow the water up. Maybe cross Etalon Island. Hit Petersburg Airport, potentially. Be our next one. And we'll just stop there for the sake of it, you know. And then skedoodle up to Juneau. Like I said, I don't mind doing stops here because we're an Airwolf and fuel burn probably is aggressive with this helicopter in Airwolf form. Also, I've never seen Airwolf. I know that's something that I probably need to do. Let's see, get the mask sitting on just right. Okay, Kazakhstan Tower, this is Fuckwagon. We are absolutely ready to be on the move again. We'll be taking off from the ramp, heading directly north. You can give us flight following. We're heading up to whatever that other place is, and we're going to be out of here. We'll do a little flyby from the tower for you since we know y'all are Airwolf fans. This is Fuckwagon out. As you can tell, I'm a radio professional here. We'll do the gear up for the tower too. Whoop. Like I said, I wish I had an extra hand where I could put my hand over there and hit the gear button. Instead of trying to do it with mouses and controllers and things. There you go, guys. What up? See you later. Imagine the afterburner's on. Shut up. I know I'm below my decision height. Watch this one pass. This will be fine. Down as much as I can. Okay, my tanks are sloppy, my eye is scratched, my drink is drank, and we are in the air, guys. Sean, what up, dude? You should put a fan in front of you, but angled, so when you stick your head out the window, out the little door, it blows on the mic. I honestly don't know where the mic is on this headset. It's built into the to the MetaQuest, so I couldn't tell you, but I can always go like, oh wait, here we go, like that whenever we're looking out the window. If that makes it better for you guys, then I can do that. That's something I can have a concession for, you know. We'll try to stick water. We know where we're going. ish. Zoom out a little bit to keep our flight guide on there. Our director is telling us what to do appropriately. Dun, 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 dun. So yeah, is Airwolf worth watching? I heard it was kind of cheesy, and like the coolest thing about it was the helicopter. And I feel like if I were to get a Bell 222 Bravo, which is on my dream list of helicopters to get, not because of the show, but just because I think it's cool, I would definitely have to put the jet engine ad thing on it there. Although I'd find a way to make it retain like the function of the back doors, so that way I can still use it appropriately as a helicopter. But I think having those jet engine bits added onto it would be super sick. We'll start cutting across here a little bit. We got some lower altitude clouds to look out for, and these lower bits of the mountain let us squeeze in between them, which I'm all for. A longer flight today, but don't think it'll be that bad because this thing's relatively quick. And also I know the flights look longer the further north that I get, especially looking at Google Maps, but a lot of that is because it's the whole flat map thing where the actual distances look much bigger. Just like Greenland looks like it's massive, but it's really not that big. I mean, it's big, don't get me wrong, but it's not half the size of the planet like the flat maps make it look. Don't know what allergies are doing today, but for something got me. Miss Allison, Sovereign Grace. Dude, boat names are so cool. And my friend has a boat called the Poontoon, and it's a pontoon boat. They just threw an extra over there. Very creative, if you ask me. Borrow the Bose headset, plug it in. I mean, I have a quality mic I can use, which I gotta sneeze. Hold up a second, guys. Bless me. But I've got a good mic I can use. If you heard the podcast episode I was on, I think my audio quality sounded up there. That was because I've got a pretty quality Shure microphone, the SHURE Shure, not just like SURE wish.com something. But I've got a quality Shure, so if I wanted extra quality mic, I could do that. But with the VR, you still want to be close-ish to the mic, but if I lean forward like this to do something, then I'm smacking the shit out of it. So I feel like the built-in MetaQuest mic is probably my best bet, just for ease of use. If something else comes up, maybe. But also, I don't know what it would like to be run headphones over this. That's another thing that's different, because it's got a thicker bit kind of where the ears would be. Now if I could do like almost like a throat mic or a neck mic, but if I were to have like a necklace type thing with a powered lav where I could plug it in and I'd just be completely plugged into the matrix here, then maybe that would work, because then it's always on the chest. And then I could talk normally, and I could set up like one of those little Stream Deck things and have a quick button on there that I press, and whenever I press that button, it's a voice changer, so it sounds like I'm actually using comms. IX527. You're a bitch. Military ops, hell yeah. Suck it, dude. Navy. It's not gay once anchors are away. Ain't that right, boys? I mean, Sean, you were basically the Navy. What do you think? Is that a true statement? It's not gay once anchors are away? So something I am curious about once we do our big water crossing, heading over to Russia. I'm curious how far we'll be before we can see land. Like how much of just straight and level watching the instruments and kind of keeping an eye outside. How much of this will exist before I can actually see the land. That's something I'm curious on. Left of mountain, stay above the water, right of mountain, take the valley. Clouds look like we have a good 1,000 feet above the peaks there, so we'll take the valley. It's more direct. Yeah, very, very different. Even this is like I was saying a bit earlier, it's very different than Victoria Island. I'm not anything now, thank you. Nasty Navy is nasty. How many weeks in the basic was it before they taught you that it was pole to hole, not pole to pole? Asking for a friend. Also, kind of wish Hawaii was in our path, or doable, but that also gets rid of the allure of Hawaii, because that would make it accessible. But I'd like to do the Jurassic Park flying, and of course this isn't a freaking Augusta 109, which I think is what they were using. It looks close enough. It's a retractable gear executive aircraft. You ever wonder why people choose different branches? Like, I feel like there's legitimate reasons to join most branches. If you're looking at like a skilled labor position. Like even though you're doing plane stuff, like you could have easily also joined the Air Force. Of course, it wouldn't have been as an elite of a thing, but like with a job category in mind, it's like, okay, cool. Like you could pick one of those. Or if you want to actually drive captain vessels, obviously Navy. But I'm always curious, like, how many people are just doing it because that was the recruiter that talked them into it, or if they were actually like purposefully choosing that branch or that line of work for family reasons or for like personal, this is what I want to do type reasons. We might have a little bit of light IMC. We'll try to pick this saddle over here to the left. Getting you something to eat. You're allowed to eat? I had a very good boy lunch today. Ground beef. Put in a pan. Some butter. All natural butter. All natural butter. Actually, we're going to take the saddle to the right. Actually, the cloud's just right there, so I can even just take this kind of middle saddle here and I won't distract myself too bad. Some garlic, some chives, some parsley, kind of, we'll say fry it, but pan cook that. And then some rice. Standard boy lunch, you know? Or to get a green card. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Serve in the military? One of us. One of us. You've killed for your country. You're now part of the gang. Is that what it's like? Is it basically just like the Crips versus Bloods versus U.S. Army? Like, you either kill for the Crips and you're part of the Crips, you kill for the Blood, you're part of the Blood, or you join the U.S. Army and you kill for them and now you're part of the U.S. Army. A lot of wind here in the mountains. Hello, boys. Hello, we're going to throw some extra altitude to allow us an out if it gets too wibbly wobbly on us. Those hills are playing some different air currents with us, that's for sure. Doing it there too. Shoo! Tell you what. Also, I know we have not burned a quarter tank of fuel, so I have no idea what the fuel burn's actually like on this machine. It's kind of like the downside with add-on aircraft. It's not perfectly tuned for a lot of the little things. Like when I spawn in with this, even though I'll set a full tank of fuel in the menus beforehand, it'll show the gauges way off, so I still have to click my add 25% button here and there. I wonder how cold this water is. I think it's definitely cold enough that you don't want to swim in it for a long period of time. Like if this was Florida water, yeah, sure, I'd dive the shit out of this or try to swim across the sound if I had like a boat as a supervisor. Make sure I'm not eaten by a shark or I get freaking exposure. You almost wanted to cruise in the something Alaska? In this part of Alaska. I've seen the Alaskan cruises. It looks neat. But I also want to say I think that's for adventurers or old people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I feel like most young people, which I'm still youngish, but whenever I want to go do something that's near the ocean, I want to spend time in the ocean. I want to be in the sun. I want to be outside as naked as legally possible. And I want to soak up the vitamin D. But up here, especially, like, now I'm assuming it's freaking 20 degrees outside or something. I don't really think that's a thing that you do. I think it's more like, cool, you get the cool sights, you can sit outside with a light sweater on, open up your little porch or balcony or whatever for your whatever room you're in. And you can get some, just good away time, get to see something completely different, a wild, wild area compared to what majority of the continental U.S. is, something you don't get to see. Probably some good fish and stuff too. You probably get some good salmon, some good crab. I assume like all the cuisine on there, it's not like you're drinking spicy margs with like mahi-mahi and pineapple. I feel like they probably match the cuisine to what you're doing. Now, I'm sure the margs are on the boat because they are white women who refuse to drink anything but spicy margs. But I definitely feel like it's a more catered experience. And at that point, if I'm going to go onto a cruise ship and not be able to get naked the entire time other than when I'm sleeping or showering, then I'll just save up and I'll do one of the cruises to Antarctica. Not only because there's helicopters involved, but it's like, cool, if I want to go see a cold place that nobody else has seen, I'm going to go see a cold place that nobody else has seen. It's like, yeah, there probably no single human has set foot right there on that spot. But, man, going out to Alaska, like, to Antarctica, only a few people have set your feet down there. And most of them are government officials because they're trying to contain whatever's down there. Which is a whole nother story. It's like I would do a helicopter tour of Antarctica, but I feel like the photogrammetry down there is just so lacking that it's not even worth the effort. Like you're just flying over like a flat white area with some mountains near the coast. But I mean, still, Alaska cruise would be neat. Mostly just because, like, I'm completely unfamiliar with the landscape. It's something that's so foreign to me. Where even doing it like this, I'm enjoying it. Just like just like flying through Washington in between St. Helens and Rainier. Like, that landscape was so foreign to what I'm used to that I enjoyed that, which is why I look forward to Thailand. I know there's some the Leviathan is there. What do you mean there's nothing in Antarctica? What, are you, a government person trying to tell me there's nothing in Antarctica? There's a few bases down there that are publicly accessible. There's a few science bases that you have to be like part of the science team or whatever to get into. But surprisingly, there's a handful of military people down there. And not just like desk people. Like military people with some very stout kit to be down there. And it's not just from our country, it's from every country. And Antarctica's a demilitarized zone. Like, it's just been kind of agreed by the countries, like, hey, no fucking point of fighting for this area down here. So we'll just kind of keep it for history's sakes or whatever, so we can do core samples and see what things are. But everybody's military, or all the powers military, has some sort of military presence. But yeah, there are Antarctica cruises, and it's not even on a cruise ship, which is the cool part. It's on like a fucking mega yacht with a hangar with two Airbus H-145s that are yellow. So they look very Antarctic exploration-y. But I think only like 200 people go on the trips. It's like $20,000 to $30,000, so it's not cheap. But it's like a 1 month cruise or whatever, and you get to go down there and they'll take you off and they'll land you down there if the weather permits, which is kind of a weird thing. It's like, cool, and there's a point when you don't fly just because the weather is 50 or 60 knots and it's just not safe. And okay, cool, you spent 30 grand, SOL, sorry, but it's that or die. Good wind coming off that mountain right there. But it'd be a cool thing to get into. A lot of wind in this valley, and I feel like the geography is getting more aggressive now. A lot more steep, a lot more stout, and probably a lot more rocky. And not just saying that because that's rocky, but it feels like the sharpness of the terrain is lending itself to be a bit more new growth mountains. Very cool. Well, that mountain out there is still not rendered in super well. It's a PvP server with respawns. Oh, look, Berlin's here. Hello. $5,000 and $20,000 tickets for Antarctica. Yeah. And it depends on the ship you go with, too. The only reason I know of the one that I was talking about is listening to the helicopter podcast, and they had the guy on that helped whatever cruise line develop their helicopter program. Because it's not like you're doing long distance stuff where you're flying like 45 minutes to the shore. It's like, cool, you're parking just offshore and ferrying people back and forth. But he was talking about all the precautions that you have to take, and how I want to say it's a Canadian-based boat, because Canada had the better rules for helicopter-based or marine-based helicopter operations. Because even if you never fly the helicopters off of the boat back on Canadian soil, since it's registered there, you have to like follow certain rules and regulations and whatever else, even though it's like, cool, we're only flying in international waters or going to land on Antarctica where there's no, like, really no rules for that. But the governments of wherever your boat is origined from, it's you have to abide by whatever their rules, statutes, or whatever is, which is wild. Like, we're on the other side of the planet fucking flying people back and forth. Because I think the big thing he was mentioning was, it was like life preservers or cold suits or something. Was like, cool, it makes sense. But the amount of like energy and expense to like do certain things, like, cool, the 70-year-old lady that's going to be doing this is not going to go through the process of putting that on. And they're just like, well, I'm just not going to go over to the ground, then I'm going to stay on the boat. And it's like, why do we need to follow these rules when we're literally over the water for 12 seconds, going from ship to wherever? And when they do happen to fly the helicopters off ship, they have like 2 fast boats in the water. So if something does happen, you can put it down there. It's a 2-engine helicopter, so you do have the ability to operate on 1 engine to come in and land. They run it underweight specifically for that reason, so they can either go and put it down on the continent itself or make it back to the boat, depending on the direction. And there's like a whole bunch of stuff that it was like they were like, Canada was like requiring people to like put on dry suits and stuff like that, because it was a Canadian-based ship. And they're like, it's hard to explain to the lawmakers all of this stuff, because it's like, you're paying $30,000 for this experience. And then, I don't want to say you're getting cucked by it, but there's a benefit versus gain sort of thing with it. White Desert, based in Canada, flies DC-3s and DH-6s to Antarctica when it's sunny. Nice. Is there a like a gelling temperature? Which I know Sean mentioned different temperatures on fuel, and me and him work together. But is there like a temperature difference where piston engines will work better in certain cold situations? Because you look at somewhere like Alaska, and there's a lot of Alaskan cargo planes that are still running avgas, and they're not running turbine engines. And there's stuff like the old DC-3s and stuff, and the de Havillands, where it's a piston engine. And it's not even like a turboprop engine, it's a piston engine that they're using for some of this. And like, I wonder if it's the fuel's, maybe the fuel's easier to get in some of these like remote Alaskan areas where they're doing some of these operations. It's like, okay, cool, you fly into like some little town in the middle of fucking nowhere. And then the only vehicle that would be using like Jet A or whatever would be like you flying in there. Everybody else is running piston planes getting in and out. But like, also freaking Kodiaks, PC-12, like we were talking the other day, the Cessna Caravans and stuff. Those are all turbine engines, so you would assume Jet A would be in some of these places. But like I said, you look and you see like DC-3s and stuff out there with big-ass radials doing a lot of cargo work for different Alaskan places. So that's a weird thing to look in for. We have another marker there. Okay, there's something over there to the right. What is that? That's trying to kill us here. PAWG, that's P-A-W-G. Hell yeah, that's my fat ass white girl. Lost all our airspeed there. Let's... Oh, shut up. I know we're going slow. I know we're going slow. I know we're going slow. Yes, my landing gear is up. I'm fully aware. I know we're going slow. I was trying to read, and my stick is not self-centering. Which the only reason I bring it up is because, well, we have 9 people in here right now, according to my laptop. Holy crap, welcome, guys. I was about to say, I'm only explaining it again to YouTube because y'all are the only two talking, and y'all know the story of my stick doesn't self-center. But, for any of the other people in here, 10 watching, hell yeah. For any of the other people in here, my controls don't self-center. So if I want to lean all the way over here with the VR, it moves me around significantly. So I kind of have to pre-plan when I need to be more reckless with the control of the helicopter. And also because it's not self-centering, I don't believe autopilot's an option for me, so we are stick wiggling all the way around the world, which is a dream of many. I don't know why you want to talk about fat-ass white girls like that. But, yeah, what up, other 10 people? If you have thumbs or fingers and you're somewhere where you can type something, feel free to say hey, drop a line. Today the trip is from Prince Rupert, Canada, and we're back on American soil now. But we're heading up to Juneau, Alaska. Trying to do, like, 2 to 4 hour hops every night whenever we can. I'll take some nights off for me. 100 Lowlit has a lower freezing point than Jet A, so yeah, maybe that's it. But also, like, is there a season for the jets that go into Antarctica? Because I know they have, like, is it a 320 or a 787 or something that goes down there? 6,000 foot runway at PAWG. I'm gonna keep calling it PAWG, I don't care. We might be able to see it out the side over once we pass this hill. Alaska Airline flies 737-800s there. Nice. It's a decent airport then. But yeah, for all those who are watching, if it's your first time in here, welcome. We got another 80 to 100 days of doing this. So this is your first episode. There's plenty more. This is your last episode. Then you're missing out on a lot, probably. I would assume. Is there a mod to make your co-pilot a cat? Because that would be fun. An A340-300 or 200 that flies in Antarctica. Only 6 months. Okay. Yeah, so I'm assuming it's too cold for any other aircraft to get down there during the off-season. Also, I would definitely not have a cat as the co-pilot. It would be Dino, because as you know, since you follow my personal, Dino actually likes helicopters. So he'd be my homie right there. Of course, he'd probably want to lay his head down on the collector, but that's okay. We can deal with that. A340, yeah. And I want to say there's also... Is it Qantas? I want to say it's Qantas. but they do a flight out of either Australia or New Zealand. And it's like a sightseeing flight, and it's like a $5,000 flight or something, but they just basically take you down over Antarctica. And they only half fill up the plane. So the first half they'll have you and everybody out the left side can see, and then when they turn around, everybody out the right side can see because you're going the other way. But they have an Antarctica sightseeing flight that they do like once or twice a month. Maybe once a month. I don't know how many people would do that and pay that much just to go on a flight, but it would be cool if you were doing if you didn't want to try to set foot on the continent, but you wanted to see it, and you had the money to already go do an Australia trip, to where you were jumping Gold Coast all the way out to Perth and everywhere down there. You know, it's hitting New Zealand. If you're doing that whole area's worth of a tour, you're obviously already spending $5,000 to $10,000 worth of flights and hotels and whatever to be down there. But I feel like at that point it would maybe be worth spending the extra money just like, cool, let's go see Antarctica since it's the closest we're going to be. And to get close again down here, we're going to have to spend another $5,000 to $10,000 to get close. So even Jet A, which in cold temperature is at negative 53, a good few degrees higher than 100, all realistic temps to hit in these colder regions. Maybe have mod kit on the plane, potentially like some sort of heater or something through the wings, potentially. Because I'd assume even at altitude planes are experiencing temperatures lower than that, so there has to be something, right? Like I would assume it, like a PJ flying at freaking 45,000 feet from New York to London for a morning meeting and flying back. I assume they're going to be at 45,000 feet cruising, like some sort of global or some sort of badass PJ. Hell, even a lot of airliner type planes are going to get high enough to where it's cold as shit. But I'm pretty sure it's pretty chilly at altitude, you know. I'm pretty sure that they're experiencing those temperatures, so I wonder if there is any sort of preventions or protections there at that point. Oh, also for any of the other people watching, curious what we're flying today. Today, despite what the thumbnail says, we clickbait this every time. I've never flown the helicopter that's in the thumbnail. But we are in the Bell 222 Bravo, which is the retractable gear version, the Airwolf helicopter from the, I don't want to say popular TV series, but from the TV series Airwolf, which you can see it has these two little jet engines on the side, which in the show tells people that they can get it up to supersonic speeds or just subsonic speeds or something like that. And it's completely stealth and blah, 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 and it does all these missions or whatever. I don't know, I've actually never seen the show despite being a helicopter enthusiast. But the real helicopter doesn't have those here. The real helicopter just has these winglet things there on the side, and it's got doors in the back, so that way, if you're somebody that's riding along, you're just sitting in like executive seating or something. So, yeah. Let's not crash ourselves after we're already an hour and a half, 2 hours in. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But we're cruising at 140 knots. It's a relatively quick helicopter, even with fake jet engines on the side. 11 watching. Let's go. Big numbers today. Which also is kind of lending credence to the thumbnail theory. For those of you that are returning viewers, this past Saturday was Friday was our most viewed video as far as these streams are going, which we're only 11 days in, so it's not like I have a super large pool that of information that I'm pulling from here. But I used a blue helicopter against a snowy mountain background. Of course, it was the Super Puma, much larger helicopter. But I decided to do another blue helicopter against a snowy background. And so that kind of lends a little bit of credence to the blue helicopter theory that I had in my head. It was also a fire thumbnail on Friday. I think that was my favorite one regardless. Sean's back with more fuel facts. We have AN8 fuel is made for jets flying in Antarctica. Freezing point, negative 72 Fahrenheit. There, you made me go research tangent tonight. Airwolf isn't real. If it was, I doubt it can go subsonic without... I mean, we're subsonic right now, technically. But yeah, I've always been curious about the aerodynamics and the function at that point. Because once you hit a certain speed, you hit a thing called retreating edge blade stall, where the side of the rotor, depending on which rotation version you have, whether it's a clockwise or counterclockwise, the side that's going away, when you get going fast enough, that side's actually pushing backwards against the air. This side over here is still pushing super heavy and creating a lot of lift. This side over here is actually stalling or going backwards in the air because its relative airspeed versus, or with how the helicopter is actually going forward, is not fast enough to create lift. So you lose all the lift on one side and you have all the lift on the other side, and it throws you upside down or into a hard right or hard left, but you start getting some vibrations before it gets to that point. So hopefully you can keep an eye out, not let that happen. But I've always wondered how that would work with Airwolf. And even when you look at like the newer Sikorsky, whatever it is, where it has like the big pusher blade on the back where it looks like a torpedo with a rotor system on top. Like you see that and I wonder, how does it go faster? Do they put a higher speed in the blade system itself, or is there a different geometry to the shape of the blade to where it lends itself better to not lose lift at higher speeds? The jet engines don't work though, but they were made from Israel then, yeah. It looks cool. I'll tell you one thing, like the 222 Bravo looks cool regardless. Also, we're getting some very light IMC type conditions, which I mean the 222 looks sick regardless. But those little engine ducts on the side, oof, very hot. This brings me to it. Ooh, good picture right there. Feel free to screenshot, I'm not going to hate. Yeah, there we go. Okay, back to it. Get your hands out of your pants. I know that was a good looking sight. Yeah, I'm curious if you were to get some small jet engines that were functional and have them put on the side of this in that sort of in that fashion. I wonder, I mean, I'm sure you're still probably, by the main rotor blade design, you're still probably limited to how fast you can go. But I'm curious if you can use them as a supplement, not so much for going faster, but using less energy because of it. Because right now with the main rotor system, we have to be tilted or leaning forward a little bit, and it's pulling us through the air a bit, if you want to call it that, to get us up to 140 knots cruise speed that we're doing right now. But I'm curious if I could run like a much lower torque, because we're also running at 75-80% torque doing this. I wonder if it could be a much lower torque setting to where I could be cruising at like 40% torque and using those, and I wonder what the equivalent trade-off or the unequivalent trade-off of energy would be. Would I burn more fuel using those two engines to be additional forward thrust? Or do I burn more fuel with the main rotor? Or less fuel with the main rotor, less fuel with those two? Or does it equal out? Like there's some sort of viability with pushing. but I don't know. The 222, 230, and 430 are all sick. Yeah. I've got a thing for executive retractable gear helicopters. That's for sure. Like even the 429 has the retractable gear version. That's an attractive thing. I mean, and you look like the Augusta or Leonardo, the 109. Like such a good-looking helicopter. Really, I kind of like all the Augustas. I don't care for their landing gear models, but all their body styles kind of have this same pointy nose shape as the 222, and they just look good. They all look really, really good. Big fan. Just like the helicopter, big fan. Because guess what? The helicopter is a big fan. It's a big ceiling fan. Oh yeah, like there'd be so many forces pushing it faster. Like, I mean, it's like I said, it's possible to get it faster, but you lose the lift. I mean, you already have asymmetrical lift when you're flying. That's already, I'm almost like a problem. It's a feature. That's already a feature with rotorcraft helicopter, the symmetry of lift. But like I said, the big thing for me is like, if I were to use the side engines on this to either supplement lower main rotor power usage, or replace, or whatever you want to say, where the main rotors are just putting enough angle of attack in there to keep us in the air, and then those are the ones that move us up to 140, then who knows. I mean, Airbus does have the Speed Racer concept out there. It kind of has the triangular wings coming off the side. The rotor is actually a big fan to keep the pilot cool. It turns off in flight. If it turns off, you can see the pilot sweating. Like last night when we ended the stream and we were trying to hover upside down. It turned off and I started sweating real quick. But yeah, if y'all look up the Airbus helicopter Speed Racer concept, what it is, I'll kind of do a quick poke or whatever at it here. It's like a H-160 type looking helicopter, but it has a triangular wing that's like vertically or whatever, so it's kind of like a truss coming down on either side. Then it has two rearward facing rotors or fans or props or propellers, whatever you like to call it. I don't know what their terminology will be for that because it's a new system. Yeah, their Speed Racer concept. So I don't think I've looked at their main rotor blade for that. So I'm not sure if it's something different or those actual triangular truss wings that hold the rearward facing props. I'm not sure if those maybe in fact are are supplemental lift themselves to where they can actually keep up with any main rotor inefficiencies at those higher speeds. That, I don't know. I could not tell you. But it's something I'm interested in. Just because I'm already interested in all this stuff anyways, and new technology is something that I'll be dealing with in the future. So I'd rather learn it now and be very well acquainted. My dad told me about a time they were in a Black Hawk, leaving a mission, RPG whizzed by them, and the pilot pitched so far before they was practically looking through the blades. Oh yeah, pull yourself out of there, legitimately. Especially starting out from like a pretty slow speed. Because I assume it was, when they were leaving, I assume they probably weren't just already cruising 150, because like, okay, cool, leaning forward now is only going to pitch us down. But if you're at a dead stop, which let's bring ourselves to a nice little out of ground effect hover here and do an acceleration test. What do you say? Collectives all the way down. Not really doing a quick stop, doing a slow stop. I'll even pull it back some more right here too. It's gonna start beeping at me. Beep, 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 beep. You should put your landing gear down. Well, you should mind your own fucking business, helicopter. Here. Gonna pause our slowing down so that way I could do that. Okay, let's look through our main rotor blade as we accelerate. What do you say? Try not to over torque as well. Not that aggressive. This is a very aerodynamic thing, so it, like, we're already at 100 knots here, so. Yeah, you'll see some of these things really, really pitch forward for that. Yeah, the speed racer is actually a real thing. I remember watching the news or watching the helicopter news reporting pages and channels and stuff when it did its first flight. But yeah, like I said, I'm curious about how the aerodynamics on that works, because I know retreating edge blade stall is a thing. And if you just push the helicopter faster, it doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to go faster, because if you lose lift on one side, sorry, SOL, you're not going to go any faster, because you're going to be going towards the ground. Eurocopter X3. Well, guess what? Airbus owns Eurocopter now, so it's technically theirs. Or technically theirs under further development to the Speed Racer. But there's a new Sikorsky out now, too. That's one of the rearward-facing blade. It sounds wicked as it goes by, because I think it's got two counter-rotating blades on the top, kind of like the, like one of the Russian ones, or whatever, where they're both on the main axis of the main, they have the same main axis or whatever. So it's not like a Chinook or a K-Max where the two blades are offset. But it's got two blades on the top to keep it from counter-torquing. And then it has a rearward-facing blade, so it pushes itself forward. It sounds like a freaking weed whacker flying by and all of the footage of it. Which that'd be another neat one to, along the same concept. I want to say that one's a Sikorsky. They just flew that one here recently. But yeah, on something like that, because it's kind of under the same physics limitations as the Speed Racer and X3 and stuff is. Just because you have something to push you faster doesn't mean you can fly faster. Just because of all the little different limitations of this or that and here and there. Decent little water crossing here. Sikorsky SB1 is what it looks like, you said. Oh, yes, the flying submarine. Oh, our old buddy Sam Eklund. I know he's watching this because he's a big fan of me, so what up, dude? He probably only watches when I fly helicopters that are military history. I could have done this one flat black. I mean, I guess Airwolf technically is a military helicopter. Although who they report to, nobody knows. It's a dark CIA asset. But yeah, if you watch the video of the SB1, it's like I said, it sounds like a freaking weed whacker going by. Or like a like an 85 Chevrolet K1500 with like brand new mud grapplers on it going by at like 80 miles an hour on a back road at 2 in the morning. There's a video of it being escorted by a Cessna Citation. It can probably almost fucking outrun a Citation. Well, depending on the Citation. The new big Citations, they're relatively quick. They're up there for you know, private jet. Like they're actually comparable. But the old ones, the Cessna Slowtation was definitely a good nickname for them. Because they were not quick. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It's like, hey, I've got a fucking private jet. I don't care if it's a 1984 Cessna Citation or a... Honestly, I just want a Lear, like 31 with the tip tanks. I think that's peak private jet. Once they replace the UH-60, they'll be flying over the house. Hell yeah. Is the KA-50 Black Shark. Hey bro, don't copy my homework. We need a cool name for the helicopter to strike fear in the Americans. They had the Black Hawk, but we fight over the ocean, so Black Shark. We know how much they don't like those. Yeah, the counter-rotating designs are wild to me. Honestly, I haven't really looked at their rotor head design. I'm sure there's a way that they do it, but I've never looked deep enough into it to really see like how one shaft is in the other and what the connection methods are. How even the freaking the cyclic works and collective works in that. How all the linkages would have to go through each other. Yeah, I've never even looked at it. I'm kind of scared to. Which I'm sure if I put enough thought about it, I could figure it out, you know? Like, I don't think there's any engineering thing that I couldn't at least figure out or concept. Especially, like, I know how it's supposed to work. It's just a matter of figuring out how they executed it. Somebody up there. Captain... something. Can't tell. Captain Nigel? Oh no, we actually have to make our own names for their equipment because the Iron Curtain and all any names in Russian equipment are from NATO intel designations. Ah. No, I'm gonna say they call it the Black Shark. And I bet they think it sounds fucking cool. When really it doesn't. Is that Captain Nigel? Well, I hope it's Nigel. There's another N-word that looks similar. What are you flying, Nigel? Can't tell. I was going to assume it's an A320. Or A something dash 1000, A350 1000. 37,000 feet cruising, my man. Maybe that water crossing wasn't that bad. Not bad at all. Let's check me map. Let's see what we're looking like here. So we're 3/4 of the way to Juneau. Not too shabby. Got a lot of island flying right here to do. Cool with that. A bit more exciting than the water crossing. Especially for Captain Nigel here. Yeah, also super cool. I was about to say super cute, super neat to see 9, 10, 11 people, whatever, in here on a Wednesday night. Which maybe Wednesdays is a good viewing night. Who knows? Always just kind of figured, Friday and Saturdays were the big nights because there's no school the next day. And if anybody's wondering why I'm being reckless right now, doing my every 30-minute allowed scratching of my toes and readjusting my pants and my chair and headset. My stick does not self-center, so we get wiggly every once in a while. But it's okay. We'll survive. Y'all are hanging in back there, right? Cool. Your satisfaction is my utmost concern. Okay, Sean, what's the news? Have y'all made my perfect belt yet? That's the question. I need a new concealed belt. But I don't want it to be bulky. I want the buckle in the front. And there's a very good reason for the buckle to be in the front, which is very understated. That you probably can't guess, actually. Actually, if anybody guesses the reason for the buckle to be in the front, I will Cash App you $1, and if you don't have Cash App, then I'm going to not send you $1. Yeah, first giveaway, multi-shot mat. It's a trivia giveaway. Why do I need a buckle in the front and not to wear it on the side when I conceal carry? Yep, A350-1000, about 35 kilo, 33 miles away, 37,000 feet. Captain Nigel, 412. Drink that water. I am. I mean, $1 is $1. Also, you sit down and talk for 4 hours a night non-stop for a week straight. Your voice gets a bit tired every once in a while. And it's honestly not that bad. There was one night where I was feeling scratchy-ish. But honestly, I don't want to say I've gotten used to it, but it's gotten more normal-ish. Quick access to take a dump, to do pee-pee poo-poo, negative and negative. Ease of use, aesthetic filling to prevent loose end from flapping, negative. All wrong. I'll give y'all another minute or so to see if you can figure it out. And wait, do you think I take my pants off to go pee? If I'm wearing my shorts, I just hang it out the bottom. And if I'm wearing my pants, I just pull my pants leg all the way up and hang it out the bottom. Duh. I got that from Google. Just trying to find like the most professional answer. Like, this has to be it. Because somebody's definitely asked this question before on Google, so we'll see what they said. And also, it is holding true the further north we're going in, like, the more remote areas, the photogrammetry is definitely getting less and less good looking up close. I'm sure once we get to Juneau, though, it'll be because anywhere else is annoying, and that's kind of right. But time's up. And the official answer is, so that way whoever's trying to get into my pants can get it off easier, and then I don't have to kill the moment by explaining I was carrying a gun a few minutes before I'm trying to de-pants them. And then I took the gun off, but I just didn't move my belt around, so now it's harder for them to get my belt off. So I guess annoyance is kind of right. But it's not for me. It's for her. Ooh. Stop blowing us around. I gotta look at what this guy's name is. Combative Hubs. F-18, 38 miles away, 5,000 feet. I wonder if he's going to notice somebody in his airspace and attempt to intercept us, or if he's got his own mission that he's doing over there. Oh, how are we supposed to? Well, if you wore appendix carried and you were promiscuous, you would understand. I mean, he's closing 0.2 miles every couple of seconds, but I don't know if he's coming straight on. That's the question. Am I about to dogfight an F-18 in a 222? Let's throw some altitude real quick and see if he... What do y'all think? Are we about to dogfight? Or at least have a flyby? Wow, okay, Berlin. There are women who like me. They just happen to be vaccinated. No, I think he's just going to be continuing on his way there down that sound. Well, he's about to be in a dogfight. He doesn't know it. Or he's going to work on circling around. We'll keep an eye on him. 12 watching. Holy crap. Look out, Mr. Beast. Oh, he's not a streamer. Look out. What is this little tree doing up here? What, Kai, Sinet, whatever his name is. Isn't he the biggest streamer? Or Speed, or whatever. Look at this little homie up here. You're going slow. Yeah, see, look, I'm going fast again. You don't have to complain. Yeah, we're going away from each other now. No dogfight today. If you're watching this and you have Microsoft Flight Sim 2024, I am now about 15 to 20 miles to the southeast of Juneau, Alaska. I'm on public servers. The name's Paseo Ranger. 2 words. Come dogfight me. I mean, I'm still going to work to complete the mission, so I'm not going to put myself in a dangerous position. But, come fly. A lot of fighter jets the past couple of days too, because the night before last, when we landed in Port Hardy, we retook off in the 737 to do the landing out at Bela Kula, and there were 2 Eurofighters that were there. Of course, I don't have a Eurofighter model downloaded. What are we gonna do? Prop wash them? I was going to hover completely still and let him try to hit me, then just like dodge out of the way. I'm Airwolf. What do you mean, what am I going to do? Slap him with my tail. A320, sorry. Yeah, we did A320 to Belakula. But when we were leaving, we had two Eurofighters, which were escorting us for a little bit. Okay, let's see how we're looking here. Yeah, we're getting close. Starting to make the approach path here in a bit after we do this water crossing. So I'd say up here is where the approach marker, really beyond that. So like down there is where that approach marker would be. An approach waypoint. What did you say? You should make the noses of your aircraft skins. Sean, why do we like... why do we have her in here? She's just throwing out wild shit like, you should do this. Canards are an abomination. Boo. Well, what's your favorite jet, Sean? What's your favorite fighter jet, huh? Can't believe you don't like canards. So you're telling me if somebody came up to you now with a Eurofighter and they're like, hey dude, you want a free ride along, but you have to admit that you like canards and pass a lie detector test, you wouldn't be able to pass? You're that much anti-canard that you couldn't do that? No, Berlin, don't leave. It's nice to have the estrogen in here. Oh, more wind coming off that mountain. Combative hubs must have crashed. He's respawned back over there. R.I.P. sucks to be ya. Which it looks like he might be Juneau-ish. The vegan, not bad. Jeep, what's up, dude? Good to see you back. Glad to see you haven't painted it. Is this a shadow? What is this? Is this a lake? A bunch of trees in that lake. Wasn't it Saab that had the plane that escorted the SR-71 when it blew a motor? I say blew a motor like it's a fucking car. I think it was a Saab where Sweden or whoever sent a couple of Saabs up to go escort a SR-71 that had lost an engine out of enemy territory, where Russia had sent a couple of MiGs to try to go catch up with it. And Sweden was like, no, this is our homie here, you keep off. And their presence deterred the MiGs from getting closer. Anyways, there's a poster of that. And I would really like one of those posters. I've looked for them online before. I don't know why I didn't get one. I feel like I'd even like the remake as long as it has like all the same original like font and text types and everything. I know what the vegan is. I'm aware of the vegan. I can't picture it exactly, but I am aware because I did do a dive of sorts into European fighters a while back, so. Well, you have a SIG, so... Hey everybody, let's make fun of Sean. He has a SIG 320. Boo. Sean, the SIG 320 owner. We are toasting right now. I gotta slow down. Another lake with trees in it. Interesting. I'm just gonna kind of follow this ground up here. It's more of a straight line to go that way, kind of up the river. But we're gonna keep doing this. Let's see where we're anywhere near our brackets. No, I don't see our brackets anywhere. But we're heading that way, so. Thank you, Berlin. I want to make sure you said that in real life, too. There's a path of some sort there. Or a road. Yeah, we're getting up here to Juneau. Not too bad. And look, since I started at freaking 8 o'clock and not 9 o'clock like the past couple of times. You should be lurking. Yeah, since I actually started at 8, looks like we're going to make Juneau by 10:30. So we'll stop there and see if there's anything where we want to push further. Which I'm sure our old buddy Georgia Plane Spotting the Map expert already has an idea of what's further north. But, yeah, maybe it's something that's worth pursuing to go a little bit further. Let's see, do I want to start cutting across or do I want to follow that approach path? Yeah, let's cut across here. That approach means nothing to me. Oh! There's combative hubs. He's back. Skagaway. What sort of a distance are we looking for Skagaway? I mean, I'll land and we'll see. Either way, I at least want to put wheels down in Juneau for fuel, regardless, so, you know. Well, also, like, here north of Juneau, I don't know if inland's going to matter that much, because the usable airports get much farther and fewer between. So it's like, yeah, we may go more inland, but that still may be our better option path-wise for safety with fuel distances and everything, and for just, you know, shorter flight. And tell you what, the wind is definitely a fucking thing over here. Guess combative hubs doesn't want to play. Little F-18 scared of me. Okay, I think I looked at Skagaway earlier. Maybe before the stream, I was just looking at different points. I said, okay, cool, Juneau's at least a 2.5-hour flight-ish. So it'll end up being more or less perfect if we want to do a standard streaming length tonight. But we'll see. We'll see. We may do more. We've had good numbers tonight, so we might keep it up for that. Or if there's any other fun things that we want to do where I can end the journey part of the stream and then go do like the trick flying with the R-22 like we did last night, or go exploring different places or neat airports that aren't in our path. We can also do that. Those are both viable. That's just swear if you beep at me for being low. Nope. A little bit of a downdraft there. Send it up and over. Looks like Juneau's probably the one that's right in front of us here-ish. Yeah, there's our brackets way over there. Look at them. Get rid of those things. I'll let Mad Dog fight. Dino will not be fighting anybody. I will fight any pit bull for my boy. Good night, Sean. Thanks for dropping in. Belen, if you're still going to lurk after he logs off, kind of weird, but good night to you as well. Looks like Juneau will be the other side of this island in front of us, up the river, if I remember correctly. Man, he logs off and now we got 12 people in here? Hell yeah. At least that's what the laptop says. But what's up, everybody else? I'm glad y'all are here. Give you a little bit of my story, since I don't know how many of you guys are people that have heard it. I'm a armor and props person, and I dabble in stunts a little bit in the film industry. The show I was working on ended about a month ago, and a new season starts in about 3 or 4 months, in August, probably. So, until then, I've got nothing to do. Of course, I'm always looking for work so that I can keep busy, but film industry's slow. So I said, hey, what's something I can do that's free to keep my time, busy, keep myself busy. And I already had the simulator, I already had the computer and the goggles. I said, hey, let's just hop on stream and do a flight around the world. That should take 250 to 300 hours, somewhere in there. So here we are. We're doing that, 11 days into it. But yeah, why do I already have all the stuff? Well, I want to be a helicopter pilot in real life. As with my situation right now, it's a bald piece of land. As you can understand, film industry is slow. They like to go on strikes, they like to complain. I just want to go to work. We already make really, really good money, comparatively. Hours are crap sometimes, I'll give it that. That's something that they should fight for. But, we're on strike all the time. And even if the strike's over, the producers will kind of hold back work because they don't like the terms of it or whatever, and they'll starve us for a little bit in between, just, teach us a lesson, jab us right there. So, helicopter flying will be my out of the industry. Now, if you're unfamiliar with helicopter flying in the real world, federally, in the US of A, it's a 40-hour flight minimum to get your helicopter license. Most people do it in like 60 to 80 hours, though, because of learning how to hover, which is extremely hard if you've never done it. Once you do it, it's just like rubbing your head, patting your stomach, but that's kind of what I equate it to. You got a lot of other inputs going in at the same time, so I figured I would buy a good helicopter simulator peripherals, so I have an actual cyclic and a collective and anti-torque pedals that closely resembles the Robinson R22, R44, and R66. And I said, cool, I'll just start flying this thing, teach myself how to do all the little things here and there, and then we can learn ourselves a flying. So I did that for like 100 hours. It took like 10 to 15 to learn how to hover on my own without somebody coaching me. Learned how to hover, did a lot of hovering practice, approach practice, and a whole bunch of stuff like that, and got pretty good in my own opinion. And now I still do hovering practice here and there. It's relatively boring to watch, but I still do it here and there, just because it's good to practice in different weather conditions and altitudes and weights and helicopters and systems. But, yeah, taught myself how to do that. And while I know it's not a one-to-one recreation or a perfect one-to-one feel. What is this little thing? Is this a small little... Oh, it's a parking lot. Okay. So no, it's not a one-to-one creation or one-to-one representation of it, obviously. But I've got the mental pathway now built for the move the collective, it needs the pedals, move the pedals, it needs some stick, move the stick, it needs some this, and it's a constant feedback loop. But anyways, I like to think I got pretty good at it, and the hope is, once I go in to do the real thing, which will be once another show picks up, I want to have a decent income regardless, because it's going to be expensive. If I can save 10 hours worth of studying, then it's basically paid for itself. When I say it, my computer that I built for this, the Cyclic Collective, all that stuff. But so that's where we're at now. Let's go do a little traffic call real quick. Juneau Airport. This is helicopter 42069, call sign Fuckwagon. We're about 2 miles to your south, cutting through the mountains. We're going to come in direct to the ramp, do a top off on fuel, maybe a little bit of remapping, and see if we want to go further for tonight. Juneau International. I'm just slowly pulling back on the collective. We have a lot of slow down area here. For my current path, I am watching traffic around us. Make sure nobody's scooting in or scooting out. I don't see anybody on a long approach or departure. So we're good with that. We're still at 100 knots now, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to lower my collective more, which will drop our altitude, but pulling back will kind of make us like gaining altitude-ish. But really it's going to slow us down, so we're kind of using the rotor system as a big old brake. We're going to assume they told us that we are clear to cross. We're going to come back to the fuel box, which is by this hangar back here near general parking. And any second now it'll be telling me to put the gear down, so I'll be ready for that. So gear is going down. We are across the runway. We've expedited that just a wee little bit. And our fuel farm is back here in the back. I honestly did not look at the windsocks. That's bad piloting on my part. But we got a nice big old fancy luxury helicopter here, so we're Gucci, as the kids say. Parking brake is off. We're going to do a little run-on landing here. And apply the... That's the parking brake. Yeah, anyways. There we go. There's our ground. Now we know where it's at. Gonna stop here by the fuel farm. Boom. Yes, I know my parking brake is on. I literally clicked the button myself. Okay, let's look at my map and see where this Skagway is. Really, it's just following the sound up that way, isn't it? Let's see what I think it would almost make sense to go there also, because like Haines Airport's there, but if you like Skagway, we'll do Skagway, because I mean it's just inches away, really. And then tomorrow we'll kind of cut across like the Mule Creek Airport area and that river that's feeding out to Yakut. We'll top off there, then coast our way up to like Cordova and then Anchorage for tomorrow. So yeah, we'll do Skagway. We'll take it. We'll take it while we're here. No big deal. So we're just going to follow this up, follow this up, follow this up. When the river forks to the right, we follow the big old fork. Perfect. Easy peasy. Skagway we go. Shout out to co-pilot Georgia Plane Spotting. If you like planes and you like spotting, even if you don't like Georgia, give them a follow. Great mod, good friend. Let's go. So now that our missile lock that we've had on this place the whole time has finally convinced them to top off our tanks for us, let me readjust my headset while we're sitting still. I'll click my fuel button a few times and you'll see my fuel gauge go up right there. Let's see, we're going to be going to... That's not touchscreen, I forget. Like right up in here. Let me make sure. Because I'm not exactly a Garmin expert. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. We're good. No doubt. What is this? Weird. Anybody speak German? Hello, I have a business partnership proposal for you. Yeah, that's not an email that I care about. If you wanted to be a business partner, you'd speak in English to me. Okay, Juneau Airport, this is Fuckwagon. We are over at the fuel box. We are about to depart directly to the north. We will stay clear of the active, and we will be out of here shortly. Juneau Tower. We're not even going to do the cool guy takeoff thing. We're going to try to stay still and pick up slowly instead of doing like a little rolling forward takeoff. There we go. There we go. Barely using any power. Ooh. What is going on? I have a lot more power to give. Oh, I remember what we did wrong. I had my throttle way turned down here, boys. That was a bad piloting thing there. I knew something felt significantly off. Okay. I had dethrottled for our fuel up. There you go. Get your ass back up there. Let's go. Rotor RPM's good. There we go. Now I'm not having to use freaking 30 inches of collective travel. Let's get our gear up. Shut up. See, we called it good, and then we pushed our luck, and we almost had an oopsie. something express. Bad Weather Express? Fair Weather Express? Fair Weather Express. And Isabel. What is Fair Weather Express? What are you? Passenger? Fishing? Passenger. Oh, Surreal. That's gotta be fishing. Pleasure Craft. Bullshit, you're a fishing boat. Opus. Look! Dude, boat names are so cool. St. Nicholas. You think they're all friends? St. Nicholas, St. Theodus, and St. John? They've got to know each other. Come on. St. Aquilia. They have to be friends. You don't have all those names on a fleet of boats and not know each other. Also, is that just pronounced look or leuk? Lightweight. Lightweight, baby! I didn't know Ronnie Coleman had a boat. Oop, St. Peter, I wonder if he knows the other guys. Dun 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 dun. Ooh, photogrammetry. Crap, look beneath those trees right there. Thank you, cloud-based gaming. At least the trees look good enough to where it's not like unpassable. Oh, bandwidth too low. I never would have known. Never would have for a second thought my bandwidth was too low because of cloud-based gaming. Dude, I am torquing on Starlink right now to do a cloud-based gaming flying around the world thing with weather and everything else that's having to stream through. And then I'm also like, okay, cool, I know that I'm like streaming all this down to me, but you know, like, how about we stream it back out as well with commentary and make it decent quality as well. Also, are y'all viewing this in 1080? Like, what definition does this stream in for you guys? I'm curious about that. Because like I said, I'm running this through Starlink, so I'm basically just like fingers crossed the entire time hoping it works. But I'm curious what the what quality comes through for you guys, or what you're able to view it in. Because I've noticed that all the replays of them on the channel are in standard definition. Precipitation right there? Looks like it. It's too far zoomed in to tell. $720.60, okay. Well, 60's wild. Hey, rainbow. Double rainbow. What up? Okay, so I'm looking at this first river bay thing that comes out. It's not the one we're going to. We have to go way further up this this sound, or this valley, whatever it is. What do you call these? Like, if it was dry, it would be a valley, correct? Or is it just a bay? But I also see bays being in like flat areas where it's not like mountainous around it. I want to see if I can change streaming options and get 1080 for you guys, because like we have the bandwidth with Starlink where that shouldn't be an issue. Also, we are getting some wind right now off the left, I'll tell you that. I've got pretty heavy left pedal in to stay straight. If I straighten my pedals, we're going this way. Which, I mean, I guess we're kind of going that way anyway, so. Fjord? I'm sorry, I'm more of a Toyota guy. No, we're not swimming across a Toyota, we're swimming across a fjord. Yeah, it's gonna be a cold next 10 days worth of streaming, I'll tell you that. I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of white on everything, and I'm going to be extremely happy once we cross over to Japan and we get off Russia. Nothing wrong with it. I feel like it's just going to be a lot of mountains, but there will be a lot of snow as well, so look forward to not having to deal with that. Actually, it is called a Toyota. I'll say this too. So far, none of these mountains has really, I don't want to say intimidated, but Mount Rainier, compared to everything else around it, was massive. And that that mountain, during when we crossed that, it had like a feeling to it, you know? Nothing else here has really given me that yet. But I know that we plan on crossing McKinley. Or I plan on crossing. I don't know if you guys are going to be here, but I plan on crossing McKinley. So that'll be a fun one. I think McKinley's like 21,000, which I think I can get the A-star to go over. I may have to do a test day here or there leading up to that, or a test, like an off-screen test flight, just to see how high I can milk some of these helicopters and see if it's something where we can actually do a summit attempt on McKinley. Ooh. Do you see what I see ahead of us? Fog. Low clouds. IMC conditions. That's fun. Here's our first fork to the right. We're not taking that. We will continue up into the conditions. Weird that this one little area is green here. But it's white over there from the snow. Strange. But hopefully we're going through this in just enough of a time to where some of the snow melt would be happening and we're not just completely looking at black and white salt and pepper the entire flight. Fingers crossed. We'll see. Either way, you gotta sit through it regardless, so. Or at least I do. Y'all can go anywhere you want to. Go watch one of those other around-the-world helicopter streamers. No, they're everywhere. And also, for the other freaking 7 or 8 people, whatever that are in here, take a peek at this bad boy. The Airwolf Bell 222 Bravo. Very cool. And you just got here, we were even discussing the aerodynamics on if these engines would actually do anything for it. I'll leave you guys on the outside here for a second. Good sounds, you know. Boom, we're back. Jump scare. It's extremely hard to fly in third person, I'll say that. Also, I hope the jump scare got somebody. I hope they got too comfortable. I think I might be the only one. I refuse to believe that. There's a holding pattern there for something. This is for somebody waiting to get into the old Juneau. Did I just hear thunder outside? Is it raining over Middle Georgia? Am I going to lose the stream? I'm going to lose the stream after we've already done 3 hours. That's the way it looked like. Yep, thunderstorm coming up. Let's hope we can hurry up, guys. If I jump scared you there, please let me know. I'll get a good laugh out of that. We're gonna keep our speed as fast as we can go to get up here. About a third of the way, I believe, what it looks like. Yeah, we had some, like, sprinkles and stuff around here earlier. We had thunder at 3 o'clock-ish. But it was never, like... We never got the storm. It was always just, like, light sprinkles of anything. Oop, we got a big photogrammetry change happening here. Whatever's Bing Maps, Bing Satellite View. Gonna throw us a full different ocean, bay, a Toyota, a fjord. Look at this. We're getting into the cold, boys. We had some thunder and rain at 4 still going. Yeah, like we've had some like little bits of rain here and there. Oh yeah, it's a hard line for what their weather's showing frozen. God, look at this. This is wild. Completely different. Weird. There we go. It's now cold. Yeah, we had some little bits of rain, like we could hear some thunder at some points. But it was never a, like we never got the thunderstorm. But now it's saying that we might be getting the thunderstorm. I didn't look at the radar. I just looked at the, like, minute prediction thing that AccuWeather does. Let's see. Are we going to get it this time? Maybe a little bit. I'm not too worried, knock on wood. Because I know if I completely disregard it, we're going to drop stream and then we'll have to restart from the beginning. Back to Georgia we go. Imagine if I had set that rule to where we completely restarted if I had a drop or a crash or something. I feel like I would do a back to where we started that day, or whatever our last fuel point, checkpoint was, you know? I feel like that would be a reasonable thing. Like, if there was a crash, I wouldn't just, like, sure, it would restart me in the air, but I'd go back to whatever our last fuel stop was. Or at least the beginning of the day. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'll sit through a 2 or 3 hour punishment for being stupid or messing something up. It was not my fault, like, if the game or computer sucks to be me. But honestly, I'd probably just restart that day. Or like I said, the last fuel stop or something. Whatever doesn't feel like I'm throwing myself too much of a bone. But look, if it was real life and I were to crash and it's my fault, then that's bad. So that's a full restart of the day. But if it's something outside of my control, then we'll just do whatever the last fuel stop was. And now this being Juneau, that's not too far away, so not too crazy of a restart if something bad were to happen. I'm curious about this fog up here. So I was watching it when we were way, way, way back, and it kind of receded as we were advancing towards it, where maybe it's just like a 10-mile visibility fog, but it looks like it's still kind of hanging out up here. We're going to keep right at the islands, so we'll just keep hugging the our eastern ridge here. Is this actually frozen water down here? Let's see. Yep. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I no longer think that's a 10-mile fog. I think that's it's cold enough up here to do fog. Which means what I'm going to do at this point. Once we get closer, I'll turn on the engine de-icing. Because if it's cold enough to fog and it's cold enough to have snow, then we're cold enough to have icing issues. Dude, some dude with their dog and a little buggy has dragged their ass all the way up this area before. Wild. What area is the Iditarod in? Is it Alaska or is it Canada? The only reason I know anything about it is Cuba Gooding Jr. in the movie. I don't know anything else past that. How big is that cliff right there? I mean, how high are we? We're 700 feet, so that's a decent cliff. Little water's edge 50-foot cliff, if not more. Come on, render in for me. Don't make me look at that. This is 2024. Now, what I am curious about is the way they had this line set up to where it went to a frozen river or frozen fjord. I wonder if it stays like that year round or if it will change for summertime. You could correct me if I'm wrong, but this is our fork that we're taking right here, right? We're not going up here, we're taking this one here. Doing this all from memory, since I didn't want to try to learn programming a Garmin and then crash the game because this one's not complete in this model or something like that, so we're running it raw. Okay, starting to get up here. What the fuck you mean? Why are you complaining about engine de-ice? Do I have to, like, be below a certain torque? Weird. No bueno? Or maybe it's always on? Okay, cool, right. Maybe the anti-ice is always on and that's a turning it off for whatever reason. Don't know. we'll see. When you look at somewhere like Alaska, like if in the continental U.S., I think it's safe to assume that somebody has stood on top of every single peak, whether they've climbed it, like a walking or hiking or backpacking, or like climbed it because it's a vertical face, or been dropped off on a helicopter. But I think there's probably a lot of peaks in Alaska that have yet to be stood upon by human feet. At least I would assume. Zoom in another click here. So now we can actually see airports. Okay, if anybody watching happens to know why it yelled at me when I try to click the Engine 2 anti-ice button, and I assume it does the same with the Engine 1 anti-ice button. Yeah. If you know why it yelled at me, or if there's something I need to do extra, feel free to let me know. Because I plan on using this helicopter maybe for some of our subsequent days here in the frozen north. And if there's something I need to know now, then I'd like to know now. If not, I'll be looking into it tomorrow or something with some off time. But if not, no big deal. I feel like most people watching a long-form live stream of some fella flying a digital helicopter around a digital world probably aren't all real helicopter systems experts. So I'm not going to hold it against you. Did we get back to water here? Yeah, it looks like maybe that particular section of the photogrammetry or whatever had just been frozen. But we're back to water, boys. We are so back. Still foggy though. That's cool because our fork in the fjord is coming up here in just a second. And then just a few more minutes to our final resting place for the night. I mean, we are right next to the water once we land, right? We'll run over. I think the airport's like right next to the river that feeds this. Hubbard. What up, Hubbard? Nice boat. Vehicle passenger. I hear some more thunder outside. Looking forward to that. Open the door and goes, can you do the, we'll drop a rope for you. Or, I'll put the gear down and you can do some barefoot skinny dip feet skiing. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the channel, but there's a YouTube channel called Ross Creations, and he also has vlog creations. I don't know which one's the main one currently. Either way, he does a lot of pranks and stuff like that, but it's all real. Super cool guy. I've met him in person. He was actually in one of his videos a while back. But based down in Florida, he's got like 3 or 5 million subs or something like that. Anyways, big popular. Stream starting to cut out. Oh no. Yep, we're working on it. We're almost there. I'll keep pushing regardless. Anyways, Ross had a video where usually there's like the main thumbnail thing for the video. This one was like using a really long fork to steal people's food. So they would go to like these outdoor restaurants and they had people with cameras kind of sitting all around. But they'd be near a table and they'd stick out like this 10-foot long fork and like try to take a chicken tender off of somebody's plate. Super funny. Yeah, I was a member of his website for a while, where I got to go meet him. Where you do the $10 a month membership to the website, where you get their full-length videos and all that stuff. They'll reach out and be like, "Hey, we're filming a video on Tuesday. We need like this many people to come down. Would you be interested?" And I went down for the one where we were yelling at the weatherman for getting the weather wrong. Anyways, in the video that's titled like Super Long Fork, so the thumbnail is this of the people doing the fork thing, and like that's the main draw to it. Where you would think like, okay, they probably put the most effort into the fork thing. One of the skits he did, because they do like 10 different skits, gags, whatever throughout the course of the video. But the main skit thing was the fork. But one of the things that they did, he did a bit making fun of people's morning routine. Where it's like, okay, first thing I do, I wake up at 6:30, then I do my beauty care routine where I put on this, then I wash my face, and I shower, and I use my organic whatever. Anyway, he did one of those, and yep, that's us right there, Skagway. At Skagway Ore Terminals, a heliport. Okay. Anyways, he did that, and part of it was like, and then after I go for my run, I find the nearest boat, and then I go water skiing. And like there's a boat leaving the dock that he's running by. He's in like a full fucking suit or a tux or something. And jumps on the boat, starts water skiing. And he's water skiing through the bay, and he's like, and then the helicopter comes and gets me, and a freaking MD-500 starts skimming the water down where he's at. And he grabs onto a ladder hanging from the MD-500, gets flown away. So it's like he spent thousands of dollars this day for the rental of the helicopter, the permits. Oop, I hear the rain. All that stuff. And again, it wasn't even like the title sequence for his video, which I think's hilarious. Like to put that much effort into something and it not be the main draw for the video, that's pretty damn funny. But shout out to Ross. If you don't watch him, he's really cool. Some of the video stuff is cringe just because like the nature of the prank or the nature of the gag that they're doing. But everything's done real, which is the funny part. Yeah, I'm starting to hear the rain out there, so I assume my laptop looks like it's freezing. I have no idea if you guys are seeing or hearing me right now. Let's see if OBS still says it's streaming. So we'll assume that we still are, but I'll get on the ground and end it real quick before it gets bad for us. Oh, y'all pop back up. Sick. Skagway, whatever, this is helicopter fuckwagon. We got some bad weather behind us. We're going to get in here as quick as we can. We're going to go direct to ramp and kind of set down, park, and get the hell out of here if you guys are okay with it. Fuckwagon to Skagway. We're going to aim for this. Is that an X? That looks like our spot, if you ask me. So Sorry for the wiggliness there. I should have landed on the little X. Get the parking brake off. Boom. Kind of threw her down there a little bit, but we're trying to park and get out of here for weather reasons. Hard right here. Cool. That's down. Throttle down. I'm going to shut this stupid alarm up. Start clicking different things off. Get those stopped, get the beeping to be quiet. That's all there. Inverters can go off. Jen's got to use. See on my stream it still shows landing. We're still cooling down, but we are on the ground. The parking brake is on. Everything that should be going is going. Sick. So, yeah. In an effort for me to get out of here and end the stream before the weather makes us end the stream, thank you, everybody, for being here. Shout out to Georgia Plane Spotting, Sean, my two mods that were in here today. And we're going to be back tomorrow. Look at where I skidded this tire coming in. We're going to be back tomorrow. And we're going to potentially work our way all the way to Anchorage. And that means the day after tomorrow will be McKinley. I'm definitely trying to see how close the water is. Yep. But yeah, thanks for everybody being here. It looks like 11 people watching right now. I would go more since it's still 11 o'clock for the Friday stream. But yeah, thank you everybody for being here. It was fun. Did some good stuff today. Good flying. Even extended it out some. So, adios. Peace. Subscribe.